Edit he marked her as a pawn in his war, but her kiss awakened the beast he feared most. Why did he choose to mark her as nothing more than a pawn in his war? And what was it about her kiss that awakened the beast he feared above all else? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Before we begin, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another emotional Alpha King romance filled with danger, passion, and unexpected twists. Thank you for watching, supporting, and sharing these stories with us. Your encouragement truly means so much. Tell us in the comments, could you trust someone who first treated you like a piece in his battle? Now settle in, listen closely, and let us begin with the moment one dangerous mark changed everything. If you think this mark makes me your prisoner, Claire Bennett said, then you have already misunderstood the war you are fighting. Snow swept across the battlefield between two armies. Thousands of wolves stood beneath black and crimson banners, while Alpha King Rowan Blackwood held Claire's wrist in one broad hand. She did not struggle, not because she trusted him, because she wanted to see exactly what he intended to do. Rowan towered over her in black medieval armor, his dark wolf fur cloak snapping in the winter wind. His handsome face remained hard beneath the silver crown resting against his dark hair. Across the frozen valley, Marcus Hale's soldiers waited behind sharpened barricades. For 6 months, Red Valley had attacked Rowan's supply roads, poisoned border wells, and refused every demand to surrender. Then Rowan's scouts captured Claire, leaving Marcus's territory. Marcus had immediately demanded her return. That was all Rowan needed to hear. He pressed his thumb against the inside of Claire's wrist. Ancient black light spread beneath her skin. A temporary war mark formed, a crescent crossed by a single dark line. Claire inhaled sharply. The mark burned. Rowan released her. "Send the crystal," he ordered. Daniel Carter lifted a battlefield messenger stone. Silver light opened above it, revealing Marcus Hale standing inside his command tent. Rowan faced the image. "You want the woman alive?" Marcus's expression revealed nothing. "Remove your armies from the Blackwood border before sunset. Every soldier, every siege engine." Claire looked at Rowan. "And if he refuses?" Rowan's amber eyes met hers. "You remain under my authority until the war ends." "You mean I remain your hostage?" "I mean Marcus must decide what you are worth." Something bitter touched Claire's mouth. "You still think he cares whether I live?" Marcus heard her. For the first time, his expression changed. Not fear. Interest. Rowan noticed. "Withdraw," he said, "or I take the one thing you crossed 3 territories to recover." Claire slowly turned her wrist. The war mark glowed beneath the snowlight. Then the pendant beneath her cloak began to heat. She froze. It had belonged to her mother. A small silver disc carved with an unfinished moon. The symbol had never reacted to anything before. Now it burned against her chest. And the mark Rowan had placed on her answered. Black light turned silver around its edges. Rowan's eyes narrowed. "What is happening?" Claire pulled her wrist away. "I do not know." That was only half true. For years, Marcus had asked about the pendant, where her mother found it, whether Claire ever heard voices while shifting, why her wolf had never fully awakened. 3 months ago, she had discovered records bearing the same moon symbol in Marcus's private archive. The next morning, he ordered her confined. Claire had escaped before he could explain why. Now Rowan had placed an ancient royal mark directly over the same symbol. She looked toward Marcus's image. He was smiling. Claire's stomach tightened. Rowan stepped closer. "Why is he smiling?" She met the Alpha King's gaze. "You have just marked the one person your enemy wanted you to touch." The battlefield messenger crackled. Marcus leaned toward the crystal. "Thank you, Your Majesty." Rowan's hand moved toward his sword. "For what?" Marcus's smile widened. "For awakening the first half." The crystal went dark. At the same moment, pain tore through Rowan's chest. He staggered. A deep growl rolled from somewhere beneath his ribs. Not the growl of his ordinary wolf. Something older. Something furious. Claire's pendant flashed silver. Rowan caught her shoulder as his knees nearly failed. His amber eyes darkened toward black. Then a voice that did not belong entirely to him whispered from behind his teeth. "Moon Warden." "Never touch me when the beast is awake," Rowan said. His hand closed around Claire's wrist before she could pull away. The battlefield had gone silent around them. Blackwood soldiers watched their king struggle to remain upright, while silver light crawled beneath Claire's war mark. Rowan's eyes were still dark, not fully black. not fully his. Claire felt something beneath his skin pressing toward her like a voice trapped behind stone. Find me. The words did not enter through her ears. They entered through the mark. Claire froze. Rowan released her so quickly that she nearly stumbled. Daniel. The royal commander moved forward. Your Majesty? Take her to the war camp. Claire stared at Rowan. You heard it too. His jaw tightened. I heard nothing. You did. I said take her. Daniel did not argue. By the time Claire reached the royal camp, Rowan's soldiers had already begun whispering. Moon Warden. Ancient beast. Cursed hostage. She ignored them. Inside the healer tent, 3 wounded soldiers lay beneath wool blankets. Their wounds should have been closing. They were not. Dark veins spread beneath their skin. Claire knelt beside the nearest man. What were they given? The camp healer handed her a dark glass bottle. Silverleaf tonic. Standard treatment for corrupted wolf blood. Claire uncorked it. A sharp metallic scent reached her immediately. This is not Silverleaf. The healer frowned. It came from the royal medical stores. Claire touched one drop to a strip of moonroot. The pale leaf blackened. Silver suppressant. Daniel entered behind her. Are you certain? I treated captives in Red Valley who were given this exact mixture. Why? To weaken their wolves without killing them. Claire looked toward Rowan's command pavilion. Who prepares the king's medicine? Daniel's expression changed. Lady Evelyn Cross. That evening, Rowan returned from the battlefield alone. He had regained control, but pain sharpened every movement. A silver scar disappeared beneath the collar of his black tunic, running from his chest toward his throat. Claire was waiting. He saw the bottle in her hand. Where did you get that? From your healer tent. Put it down. You drink this. That is none of your concern. It becomes my concern when the same poison used on prisoners is being given to the man who marked me. Rowan's wolf pushed against the room. Claire did not move. You know nothing about what is inside me, he said. I know it spoke when I touched you. His face went cold. You will never mention that again. Why? Because men have died for less. Claire stepped closer. Did it kill them? Rowan said nothing. That silence answered more than anger would have. She set the bottle on the table. This does not calm your wolf. It suppresses it. You think I do not know? Claire hesitated. Rowan pulled open the collar of his tunic. Silver scars crossed his chest in branching lines. 10 years ago, the thing inside me woke fully. His voice lowered. 300 soldiers died before sunrise. Claire looked at the scars. And you think the beast did it? I know what I saw. Do you? He turned away. Before Claire could answer, the pendant beneath her cloak became warm again. The war mark on her wrist flashed silver. Rowan stiffened. A growl rolled through him. Not violent. Desperate. Claire heard the voice again. Find me. This time Rowan heard it too. His hand struck the table. Stay away from me. Claire stared at him. You are afraid of it. I am afraid of what happens when it is free. She looked at the blackened moonroot beside the medicine bottle. Then maybe someone has spent 10 years making sure you never learn what it actually is. You keep calling it a beast, Claire said. But what if the thing you fear is the only part of you that remembers what really happened? Rowan Blackwood went completely still. Outside the command pavilion, winter wind pressed against the canvas walls while soldiers moved between watchfires. Inside, the silver suppressant bottle sat unopened on the table. Rowan looked at it. Then at Claire. You are speaking about a night you did not survive. No, she said. I am speaking about a lie someone needed you to survive. His expression hardened. The Black Moon Massacre killed 300 soldiers. I know the official story. I was there. So were the people who wrote the official story. The challenge should have angered him. Instead, Rowan reached for the collar of his black tunic and pulled the fabric aside. The silver scars across his chest were worse than Claire had seen before. They spread like burned branches from his heart toward his throat. The dread wolf woke when the Eastern Army breached the valley, he said. I remember losing control. His voice became quieter. I remember blood. Claire waited. I remember my own soldiers screaming my name. And after that, nothing until sunrise. Rowan's hands tightened. When I woke, the valley was covered in bodies. Claire looked at the scars. Who told you they died because of you? Evelyn. Of course. She found me after the battle. She said my wolf had slaughtered everyone within the inner field. And she gave you the suppressant? Yes. For 10 years. His jaw tightened. She kept the kingdom safe. Claire looked at the blackened moonroot. Or dependent. The pavilion entrance opened. Daniel stepped inside carrying a leather case. Your Majesty, you asked me to search the old battlefield records. Rowan frowned. I asked that 3 years ago, and the archives reported they were destroyed. Daniel placed the case on the table. They lied. Claire moved closer. Inside were brutal reports, casualty lists, battlefield sketches, and one sealed physician's statement. Daniel unfolded a map. The official version places the Dreadwolf here. He pointed to the center of the valley. Most deaths were recorded here, along the western slope. Rowan studied the distance. That makes no sense. Daniel nodded. The wounds do not match either. He passed over a surgeon's report. Claire read the faded lines. Silver punctures, arrow injuries, burns from alchemical fire. Very few deaths caused by claws or teeth. Rowan's face lost color. Daniel opened the final document. This was written by Captain Henry Vale before he disappeared. The first line was badly stained. The second remained clear. Dreadwolf did not attack the surviving Blackwood soldiers. Rowan read it again. Claire watched something fracture behind his eyes. Daniel continued. It says the beast carried wounded soldiers out of the eastern trench. Rowan stared at him. That is impossible. There is more. Daniel turned the page. At 2:13 before dawn, an order was issued to close the western escape route and ignite the silver trenches while both armies were still inside the valley. Claire felt cold move through her. Who signed it? Daniel hesitated. The signature is missing, but the authorization code belongs to the Royal Intelligence Office. Rowan looked toward the suppressant bottle. Evelyn's office. For 10 years, she had told him the same story. He had become the monster. She had saved the kingdom by chaining it. Claire touched the pendant beneath her cloak. The unfinished moon grew warm. Rowan's warm mark answered with silver light. A growl moved beneath his chest. This time he did not step away. He pressed one hand against the scar. What do you want? He whispered. The voice came through the mark. Not rage. Not hunger. Grief. Remember me. Claire looked at him. You were not afraid of losing control that night. Rowan lifted his eyes. What? You were afraid because someone taught you to remember yourself as the killer. Daniel turned over the last battlefield report. 3 words had been written across the bottom in the same fading ink. Dreadwolf saved survivors. Beneath them was a final line. The massacre was ordered. Your mother did not die hiding from this war, Margaret Reed said. She died hiding the truth from the men who wanted to own it. Claire stared at the senior healer. The Royal Archive chamber smelled of dust, old leather, and cold stone. Rowan stood beside the long table while Daniel guarded the iron doors. Between them lay the battlefield reports from Black Moon Valley. Dreadwolf saved survivors. The massacre was ordered. Claire's pendant rested in her palm. The unfinished moon carved into its silver surface had begun glowing the moment Margaret entered. The older woman's face went pale. Where did you get that? My mother. What was her name? Rebecca Bennett. Margaret closed her eyes. For several seconds, no one spoke. Then she pulled a chair away from the table and sat heavily. Her name was Rebecca Bennett after she disappeared. Before that, she was Rebecca Ward. Rowan's expression sharpened. Ward. Margaret nodded. A moon warden. Claire felt the word move through her like something remembered rather than learned. What is a moon warden? Not what the old stories claim. Margaret looked toward Rowan. They did not command ancient wolves. They could not force them to obey. Then what did they do? Daniel asked. They created a bridge. Margaret touched 2 fingers together. Ancient wolves like the Dreadwolf carry instincts and memories too powerful for ordinary bonds. A moon warden could help the human mind and the ancient wolf hear one another without either side taking control. Claire looked at Rowan. He was staring at the silver scars across his own hand. So my mother could have helped him? She tried. Margaret opened a hidden compartment beneath the archive table. Inside lay a small circular plate engraved with the same unfinished moon as Claire's pendant. She brought this to me 10 years ago, 3 days after Black Moon. Claire's throat tightened. My mother was there. Yes. Margaret's eyes filled with regret. She found Rowan after the massacre. She said the Dreadwolf was not attacking him. It was trying to show him what happened. Rowan's face became still. What happened to her? She discovered the silver ritual had been planned before the battle. Margaret looked toward the reports. Someone wanted the ancient wolf weakened, frightened, and separated from you. Evelyn, Claire said. Margaret did not answer directly. Rebecca tried to expose the ritual. 2 nights later, she vanished. Claire gripped the pendant. She died when I was 17. She spent 7 years running first. The words hurt more than Claire expected. All those years, she had believed her mother was afraid of Marcus. Now she understood why. Marcus had not been chasing a healer. He had been hunting the last Moon Warden line. Claire pressed the pendant into the matching plate. Silver light spread across the table. The room disappeared. For one heartbeat, Claire stood inside a memory. Black Moon Valley burned around her. A younger Rowan lay on the ground, surrounded by silver chains. His enormous black wolf form struggled beneath him, not attacking soldiers, but shielding wounded men with its own body. Rebecca knelt beside his chest. "Rowan, listen to him," she begged. "He is trying to save you." Across the field, Evelyn Cross stood beside a silver control altar. Marcus Hale was next to her. Claire's breath stopped. They had known each other 10 years ago. Evelyn lifted one hand. "Begin the second ignition." Silver trenches erupted across the valley. Soldiers screamed. The memory shattered. Claire stumbled backward. Rowan caught the edge of the table instead of touching her. "What did you see?" She looked at him. Evelyn and Marcus started the massacre together. A horn sounded outside the archive tower. Then another. Daniel rushed to the window. Red Valley banners were appearing beyond the outer walls. "Marcus is attacking the palace." A battlefield crystal flared to life on the table. Marcus's face appeared in silver light. His smile was calm. "Bring me the Moon Warden," he said, "or I finish what we started 10 years ago." Claire's pendant burned against her palm. Rowan's scars answered with black light. And deep beneath his ribs, the Dreadwolf began to wake. "If I do this," Claire said, "you do not get to call it fate afterward." The palace shook beneath another Red Valley strike. Stone dust fell from the vaulted ceiling while soldiers rushed through the western corridor. Beyond the shattered windows, fire burned along the outer walls. Rowan stood at the center of the war chamber, one hand pressed against the silver scars across his chest. The Dreadwolf was awake. Not fully, but enough to make every torch flame bend away from him. Daniel entered with blood across his armor. Marcus breached the lower courtyard. Rowan reached for his sword. Then a silver spear crashed through the window. Claire saw it before he did. "Rowan." He turned. The weapon struck beneath his shoulder. Silver exploded across his armor. Rowan staggered backward. A sound tore from his throat that was not entirely human. Black light spread beneath his skin. Claire ran to him. He dropped to one knee. "Do not touch me." The warning came through clenched teeth. Claire ignored the blood pooling beneath his armor and looked toward Margaret. The healer rushed forward, examined the spear, then went pale. "The weapon is connected to the old suppression scar." "What does that mean?" Claire asked. "It is not meant to kill him quickly." Margaret looked toward Rowan's chest. "It is forcing the ancient wolf against the seal. If the seal holds, Rowan dies. If it breaks incorrectly, the dread wolf may wake without him." Rowan gripped the spear shaft. "Then pull it out. It will trigger the final silver lock." Another explosion shook the chamber. Marcus's voice carried through the battlefield crystals. "Still afraid of yourself, Blackwood?" Claire looked at Rowan. His amber eyes had begun turning black. "What can open the seals safely?" Margaret's gaze moved to Claire. "A voluntary Moon Warden connection." Rowan understood immediately. "No," Claire stared at him. "You are dying." "Then let me." His voice broke as another surge of black light moved through him. "I marked you without permission. I used you as a hostage. I will not turn your body into another battlefield because I am afraid to die." The words silenced her. Not because she agreed. Because for the first time since they met, Rowan was giving her a choice without trying to control its answer. Claire knelt beside him. "What does the connection require?" Margaret hesitated. "Direct voluntary contact. Breath. Heart rhythm. The old records describe it as a bond awakened through a kiss." Daniel turned away instinctively. Rowan shook his head. "No," Claire looked at him. "I heard you." "Then walk away." The war mark on her wrist burned. Her mother's pendant answered. And somewhere beneath Rowan's pain, Claire heard the trapped voice again. "Find me." She placed one hand against Rowan's face. He froze. "Claire, you do not get to decide my choice just because you finally learned to respect it." His breathing broke. "Are you certain?" "No," the honesty startled him. "I am terrified." She leaned closer. "But I choose this." Then Claire kissed him. For one heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the palace screamed. Black and silver light exploded through the chamber. The spear shattered. Windows burst outward. Every soldier dropped to the floor as something enormous tore through Rowan's human shape. Claire fell backward. Where the Alpha King had knelt now stood a massive black wolf, larger than any creature she had ever seen, silver fire moving beneath its fur. The Dreadwolf. Guards raised their weapons. Men ran. Claire remained on the stone floor. The ancient wolf turned toward her. Its black eyes held 10 years of rage. Then it lowered its enormous head. Not in surrender. Recognition. A voice entered Claire's mind, older than any Alpha command. Moon Warden. The war mark on her wrist turned completely silver. Then the Dreadwolf spoke again. He did not imprison me because I was dangerous. Claire's breath stopped. They made him believe I was. I will help you hear him, Claire said. I will not become another chain. The Dreadwolf stood before her in the ruined war chamber. Black fur rippled with silver fire. Broken glass covered the floor, and soldiers remained pressed against the walls with weapons raised but trembling. Claire could still feel Rowan somewhere inside the enormous creature. Not gone. Buried. The silver war mark on her wrist burned brighter. Then the world disappeared. Claire opened her eyes inside a place that was not the palace. She stood beneath a black moon. Around her stretched the battlefield from 10 years earlier. Burning trenches, shattered banners, silver chains, and hundreds of frozen memories suspended like pieces of broken glass. Rowan stood several feet away. Human. Barefoot. The scars across his chest glowed silver. Behind him waited the Dreadwolf. Not attacking. Watching. Rowan turned toward Claire. What did you do? I think the kiss opened the bridge. His eyes moved toward the ancient wolf. Then control it. Claire stared at him. No, Claire, you do not understand what happens if he takes over. I understand exactly what happens if I become responsible for stopping him every time you are afraid. Rowan's expression hardened. People died. So ask him what he remembers. I cannot. You can. The Dreadwolf stepped closer. Rowan flinched. Claire saw it then. The Alpha King who could face armies was terrified of his own shadow because someone had spent 10 years teaching him that Shadow was a murderer. Claire looked at the beast. What happened at Black Moon? The ancient wolf's voice filled the shared space. They burned us. The memory around them changed. Silver trenches ignited. Rowan screamed as chains cut into his body. The Dreadwolf dragged wounded soldiers toward safety while Evelyn's men fired into both armies. Marcus stood beside the control altar, directing Red Valley archers toward the escape route. Rowan staggered. I remember blood. You remember pain, Claire said. The wolf moved beside him. We tried to save them. Rowan looked at the creature. You are me. The answer came slowly. And you are me. Silver cracks spread across the chains around them. Claire felt the war mark tightening. The ancient bond wanted to close around all three of them. A command appeared instinctively inside her mind. Bind. Control. Hold. Claire recoiled. No, Rowan looked at her. What? She raised her marked wrist. This connection is trying to turn me into your handler. The war mark glowed violently. Claire pressed her mother's pendant against it. I was marked as a prisoner in your war. I will not leave this place as the keeper of your wolf. The silver crescent split. Pain tore through her arm. Rowan stepped toward her. Claire. She pulled the mark apart with both hands. Not physically. Something deeper. The claim hidden inside it shattered. The battlefield memory shook. The Dreadwolf roared. Then the mark changed. The black line of ownership vanished. Only the silver crescent remained. Open. Unfinished. Chosen by no one. Claire looked at Rowan. If you want to survive this, stop asking me to control what belongs to you. His breathing slowed. The Dreadwolf approached. This time Rowan did not step back. He lifted one hand. The ancient wolf lowered its head until Rowan's palm touched its fur. The shared world broke apart. Claire woke on the palace floor. The massive Dreadwolf was gone. Rowan lay beside her in human form, breathing hard but alive. His silver scars had faded to gray. Daniel rushed toward them. You are both conscious. Claire pushed herself upright. Then she heard shouting beyond the war chamber. Royal guards filled the corridor. Council elders stood behind them. At the center was Evelyn Cross. She pointed directly at Claire. There she is. Rowan tried to rise. Evelyn raised a sealed decree. The Moon Warden has awakened the Dreadwolf and placed our king under her control. Murmurs spread through the council. Claire looked at Rowan. If he used Alpha Command now, they would believe every word. Evelyn smiled. Remove her from him, she ordered, before she makes the king obey again. If you command them to believe me, Claire said, you will prove exactly what Evelyn wants them to fear. Rowan stopped. The council chamber had filled within minutes. Claire stood beneath the Blackstone platform while Rowan remained beside her, still pale from the dread wolf's awakening. His silver scars had faded, but exhaustion tightened every movement. Across the chamber, Evelyn Cross held the sealed decree above her head. The Moon Warden placed a bond on our king, she declared. You all witnessed the dread wolf kneel to her. Murmurs spread through the gathered alphas. One elder pointed toward Claire's wrist. The war mark changed. It was broken, Claire said. By your magic. By my choice. Evelyn smiled. Exactly. She can alter royal marks, awaken ancient wolves, and make the Alpha King obey her. Rowan's wolf pushed against the room. Every alpha felt it. Several lowered their heads instinctively. Claire turned toward him. Do not. His jaw tightened. They are threatening to execute you. And if you use Alpha Command to stop them, no evidence will matter afterward. Rowan looked toward the council. For 10 years, command had been the easiest weapon available to him. This time he let it go. My authority will not decide this, he said. Evelyn's smile weakened. Rowan removed the royal signet from his hand and placed it on the council table. I request a public hearing. An elder frowned. You are surrendering your own judgment. I am refusing to make Claire's freedom depend on whether I desire her. The room became quiet. Claire felt something inside her chest loosen. Not trust. Not yet. But space for it. Samuel Brooks stepped forward. Then the Moon Warden will be questioned as any other witness. So will the king. Claire nodded. Evelyn did not. This delay risks the entire kingdom. Daniel entered through the rear doors carrying 3 leather ledgers. It risks something else. Every face turned toward him. He placed the books beside Rowan's signet. These came from the sealed intelligence accounts. Evelyn's expression changed. Daniel opened the first ledger. For 10 years, Lady Evelyn Cross authorized monthly purchases of refined silver from merchants controlled by Marcus Hale. A wave of whispers moved through the chamber. Evelyn laughed. Silver is used throughout royal medicine. Not in these quantities. Daniel opened another page. Enough to maintain suppression rituals for an ancient wolf. Rowan stared at the numbers. Claire looked toward Evelyn. You were keeping him afraid. I was keeping him alive. No, Claire said. You were keeping him dependent. Samuel lifted the final ledger. Several payments had been made days before the Black Moon massacre. One was marked, second ignition materials. Rowan's face went cold. You ordered the silver trenches prepared before the battle. Evelyn's control finally cracked. You have no idea what that creature would have become. It was saving soldiers. It was becoming uncontrollable. Claire stepped forward. Or uncontrollable by you. Evelyn's eyes locked onto hers. For a moment, the entire chamber seemed to disappear around them. Then Evelyn smiled again. Small. Certain. You think breaking one mark freed him? Claire felt the warning too late. Evelyn twisted the moon-shaped clasp at her throat. Rowan gasped. His body folded. Black veins exploded across the faded scars on his chest. Daniel drew his sword. What did you do? Evelyn stepped backward toward the council doors. The silver inside him was never only medicine. Rowan fell to one knee. A roar shook the chamber. Not from his throat alone. From something enormous beneath his skin. Claire ran toward him. His eyes turned black. Evelyn raised the silver clasp. One command can wake every fragment still buried in his scars. Weapons came free around the chamber. The council backed away. Claire stopped before Rowan without touching him. The dread wolf pressed against his human form, furious and disoriented. Evelyn's voice cut through the panic. Now let them see what happens when the Moon Warden loses control of her beast. Claire looked at Rowan, then at the silver mark still glowing faintly on her own wrist. She understood the trap. If she controlled him, Evelyn won. If she failed, the council would kill him. Claire slowly removed the pendant from her neck. No, she whispered. Rowan's claws broke through his fingertips. The floor cracked beneath him. Claire placed the pendant on the stone between them. This time, she said, you choose who wakes. You are not my weapon, Claire said. And I am not your chain. The council chamber shook. Rowan's body arched as black fur spread across his arms. Silver fire crawled through the scars on his chest, each buried fragment of Evelyn's poison answering the clasp in her hand. Around him, Alpha guards raised swords. Stand back, Daniel shouted. No one listened. Fear moved faster than command. Claire remained where she was. The pendant lay on the stone between her and Rowan. Her silver war mark pulsed against her wrist. The old instinct returned. Bind him. Control him. Force the beast down. Claire looked at the mark. Then she tore the final strip of black ownership from it. Pain burned through her arm. The silver crescent remained. Open. Unclaimed. Rowan dropped to both hands. His fingers became claws. His eyes turned completely black. Claire, he forced out. She wanted to run to him. To touch him. To repeat the kiss that had awakened the dread wolf before. She did none of those things. Listen to me. A growl shook the chamber. Weapons lifted higher. Evelyn smiled near the doors. You see? Without her control, he becomes exactly what I warned you about. Claire ignored her. She looked only at Rowan. You asked me to control him before. His claws dug into the stone. I was afraid. I know. You can still stop this. No, the word stunned him. Claire stepped backward, not forward. I can help you remember who you are. I cannot choose it for you. The dread wolf tore through Rowan's form. Black fur exploded across his body. The enormous, ancient wolf rose beneath the vaulted ceiling, silver fire running along its ribs. Several guards fled. One alpha drew a spear. Daniel knocked it aside. Wait! The dread wolf roared. The sound shattered 2 windows. Claire's heart hammered. Still she did not touch him. Evelyn lifted the silver clasp. Kill her. The command struck the poison buried inside Rowan's scars. The wolf lunged. Gasps filled the chamber. Claire stood still. At the final moment, the dread wolf stopped. Its claws struck the stone less than a foot from her. Claire could feel its breath against her face. She whispered, Choose. The wolf trembled. Inside its black eyes, something changed. Rowan, not fighting the beast, standing with it. The shared voice entered the room. No more chains. Silver light burst from every scar. The hidden implants beneath Rowan's skin cracked apart. Evelyn screamed and dropped the clasp. The dread wolf turned toward her. For the first time, true fear crossed her face. Marcus appeared through the open council doors, sword in hand. Rowan, she is controlling you. The wolf advanced. Marcus stepped backward. Evelyn reached for the fallen silver device. The dread wolf could have killed them both before anyone moved. Claire knew it. So did the council. Instead, Rowan stopped. He shifted. Slowly. Painfully. The enormous wolf folded back into human form. Rowan stood barefoot on the cracked stone, breathing hard, his black armor torn at the shoulders. His eyes were no longer black. They were amber threaded with silver. Daniel seized Marcus. Royal guards restrained Evelyn. Neither Rowan nor Claire gave the order. The council had seen enough. Samuel Brooks opened the recovered intelligence ledgers. Marcus Hale and Evelyn Cross are detained pending public trial for conspiracy, unlawful silver experimentation, and the Black Moon Massacre. Evelyn stared at Rowan. You needed me. Rowan looked at the broken silver fragments on the floor. I needed someone to tell me the truth. Then he turned toward Claire. The chamber fell silent. She stood with the war mark half erased from her wrist. Rowan removed his royal signet. Then his crown. He placed both on the floor. And before every alpha who had once called Claire a prisoner, the Alpha King lowered himself onto one knee. I marked you because I believed power meant owning the board, he said. Claire's throat tightened. You taught me that power begins when the other person is free to walk away. He looked at the remaining silver crescent on her wrist. I can remove what is left. And if I want it gone, it disappears. And if I never choose another mark, you leave with nothing binding you to me. Claire studied him. The man who had once placed a war mark on her without permission now waited for permission to erase it. Rowan held out his hand, but did not touch her. Tell me what you want. Claire looked down at the unfinished crescent, then at the kneeling king. First, she said, you remove the mark you gave me. Rowan bowed his head. And after that, Claire stepped closer. After that, we find out whether you can stand beside me without ever needing to own me again. Remove it, Claire said. Not because I hate what it became, but because I need to know what remains when nothing binds us. 6 months later, Rowan Blackwood stood with her in the same frozen valley where he had first marked her as a prisoner of war. There were no armies now, no siege engines, no messenger crystal carrying threats across the snow. Only 2 horses beneath the bare winter trees and a new stone monument rising where the old battlefield barricades had once stood. Claire looked down at her wrist. The war mark was gone. Rowan had removed it the morning after the council trial. He had not replaced it. He had not asked again. That mattered more than any apology. Behind them, workers carved the final words into a new border law. No person shall be marked, claimed, or held as collateral in war. Marcus Hale and Evelyn Cross had been convicted in a public tribunal after the intelligence ledgers, battlefield reports, and surviving witnesses confirmed their role in the Black Moon Massacre. But Claire had refused to let their punishment become the ending. She wanted the system that allowed men like them to exist changed. So Rowan changed it. Hostage markings were outlawed. Political prisoners received independent hearings. Royal medical treatment could no longer be controlled by a single advisor. Every sealed intelligence order now required 2 independent witnesses. And the Moonwarden Sanctuary stood beyond the Northern Forest, governed by its own council rather than the Crown. Claire chaired that council, not as Rowan's Luna, not as his mate, as Claire Bennett. That distinction had become important to both of them. Rowan walked toward the edge of the valley. His black wolf fur cloak moved in the wind. He looked different without the constant silver suppressant beneath his skin. Stronger, but calmer. You asked whether I could stand beside you without needing to own you, he said. Claire folded her arms. And, instead of answering, Rowan stepped away from her. Black and silver light moved across his body. The shift came smoothly. The dread wolf emerged. Still enormous. Still powerful enough to make the forest fall silent. But there was no rage in its eyes. Claire did not reach for the pendant beneath her cloak. She no longer needed to. The wolf looked at her, then turned toward the open field. For several breaths, nothing happened. Claire waited. The dread wolf shifted back. Rowan stood in human form again, breathing evenly. No silver. No Moonwarden bridge. No command. His own choice. A slow smile touched Claire's face. You did it. So did he. The words mattered. Months ago, Rowan would have spoken about the beast as something separate, something shameful. Now he spoke of the dread wolf as part of himself without surrendering to it. He approached Claire, but stopped several feet away. I have wanted to ask you something every day since the trial. I know. And every day I decided wanting an answer was not the same as being entitled to one. Claire looked at him. The Alpha King who had once taken her wrist before thousands of soldiers now waited in an empty valley as though the distance between them belonged entirely to her. She stepped closer. Rowan's eyes dropped briefly to her unmarked wrist. Claire, yes. If you never choose a mate bond, nothing changes. The sanctuary remains independent. Your counsel remains yours. Your position does not depend on me. I know. If you choose someone else someday, she laughed softly. That part sounded painful. It was. His honesty made her smile. Rowan exhaled. But it would still be your choice. Claire studied him for a long moment. Then she removed her glove. Her bare wrist showed no scar. No claim. Nothing except skin. She held out her hand. Rowan did not take it. Are you sure? Claire remembered the first time he had touched that wrist. Soldiers. Snow. A black mark burning beneath her skin. A king deciding her value. Now the same man stood waiting for permission. Yes. Rowan took her hand gently. Claire stepped closer until their foreheads nearly touched. May I mark you? He asked. She looked into his amber and silver eyes. No, Rowan immediately released her hand. Claire caught it again. His expression changed. She smiled. We mark each other. For several seconds, he simply stared at her. Then something warm and almost disbelieving broke across his face. Claire touched the side of his neck. Rowan placed one hand lightly at her waist, waiting until she leaned into him before moving closer. Their wolves stirred. Not demanding, not commanding, recognizing. Claire kissed him. The first kiss between them had shattered a prison. This one built nothing that either of them could not leave. Silver light moved gently beneath their skin. A crescent appeared on Claire's wrist. Another formed over Rowan's heart. Neither mark closed completely until both of them touched the other. Then the bond settled. Quiet. Warm. Chosen. Rowan rested his forehead against hers. The beast is awake, he whispered. Claire smiled. No, deep inside him. The dread wolf gave a satisfied growl. Claire felt her own long silent wolf finally answer. We are. If they expect me to become your Luna and disappear into your throne, Claire said, they are going to be disappointed. Rowan smiled. They usually are when they underestimate you. 3 weeks had passed since they completed the mate bond. The mark on Claire's wrist remained a pale silver crescent, warm when Rowan was near, but never pulling, demanding, or commanding. That had been their first test. The second waited beyond the doors of the royal council chamber. Every major alpha in the kingdom had arrived for the winter assembly, and according to Daniel, half of them expected Claire to take the traditional Luna seat beside Rowan and surrender control of the Moonwarden sanctuary to the crown. Claire adjusted the dark blue medieval gown beneath her silver-lined cloak. I am not transferring the sanctuary. I know. I am not placing Moonwarden records under royal authority. I know. And I will not approve healers being assigned by your council. Rowan reached for the chamber door, then stopped. He looked at her. Do you want me to enter first? Claire understood what he was really asking. King first, or equals together. She held out her hand. Together. Rowan took it. The doors opened. Conversation stopped immediately. A long blackstone table filled the chamber. At its head stood 2 carved chairs. One belonged to the Alpha King. The other had remained empty for generations. The Luna throne. Claire felt every eye move toward it. Samuel Brooks rose. Your Majesties. Claire lifted one eyebrow. Claire is enough. Several elders shifted uncomfortably. Rowan almost smiled. Samuel corrected himself. Claire Bennett. Better. They approached the table. An elder from the Western Territories gestured toward the Luna throne. Tradition requires the king's mate to sit there. Claire looked at Rowan. He said nothing. He was leaving the answer to her. She turned back. Then tradition can survive another morning without me. She took the ordinary council chair beside Margaret instead. A murmur spread through the chamber. The Western Alpha frowned. The mate of the Alpha King cannot govern an independent order. Her bond creates divided loyalty. Claire placed a sealed charter on the table. My loyalty is not divided. She looked directly at him. It was never yours to assign. The room became quiet. Another elder turned toward Rowan. Your Majesty, surely you understand the danger. Moonwardens can influence ancient wolves. Your own mate now possesses authority outside your command. Rowan leaned back. That is not a danger. Then what would you call it? Freedom. The answer silenced the room. Claire looked at him. Months earlier, he had marked her because he believed every useful piece belonged somewhere on his board. Now he was defending a system in which she could tell him no. The Western Alpha pushed a document forward. We propose that all Moonwarden activity require royal approval. Claire did not touch it. No, you have not read the proposal. I read the same idea when it was called a hostage mark. Daniel coughed to hide a laugh. The Alpha's face reddened. Rowan remained silent. Claire opened her own charter. The sanctuary will cooperate with the crown during emergencies. But no Moonwarden will be compelled to bond with, heal, awaken, suppress, or stabilize any wolf without consent. Samuel nodded slowly. Margaret smiled. Then the chamber doors opened. A young messenger entered, breathing hard. Your Majesty, riders from the northern villages. Rowan stood. What happened? Children are shifting uncontrollably. Claire's expression changed. How many? 17. Margaret rose immediately. The messenger swallowed. They all developed the same silver markings. Claire looked down at the crescent on her wrist. It had begun to glow. Not warmly, urgently. Then Rowan pressed one hand against his chest. His matching mark burned beneath his shirt. Deep inside their bond, the dread wolf stirred. Claire heard a voice she had never heard before. Not Rowan. Not the ancient wolf. A child. Moonwarden, it whispered. Please find us. If I enter their bond, Claire said, you cannot follow me, even if you feel me dying. Rowan's face went still. 17 children lay inside the northern sanctuary hall. Some were barely 8 years old. Others were old enough to understand why their parents were crying outside the doors. Silver markings spread across every child's wrists, neck, and chest. Their wolves were trying to shift, but none could complete the transformation. Claire moved between the beds with Margaret, checking pulses while Daniel searched the village records. They all became sick within the same hour, Margaret said. Claire touched the nearest girl's forehead. The child's eyes flashed silver. Moonwarden. Claire pulled her hand back. The voice had come from all 17 children at once. Rowan stepped toward her. The dread wolf stirred inside him. Immediately, every child screamed. Stop! Claire raised her hand. Rowan froze. The silver markings on the children faded slightly when he moved away. Claire understood. They are not calling the dread wolf. Margaret looked at her. They are calling you. Daniel entered carrying an old village ledger. These families share one thing. He opened the book. Every bloodline traces back to survivors of Black Moon Valley. Claire's stomach tightened. The people Rowan's Dreadwolf had saved. Margaret turned toward the sanctuary wall. Then the silver trenches did more than kill soldiers. Claire followed her gaze. The survivors carried something home. Fragments of the ritual. For 16 years, the poison had remained dormant in their descendants. Waiting, Claire looked at the glowing crescent on her wrist. Her mate bond had awakened. So had the Moonwarden bloodline. And something buried in those children had awakened with it. Rowan understood from her expression. No, Claire looked at him. You do not even know what I am going to say. Yes, I do. His voice lowered. You are going to enter the shared consciousness and pull the silver fragments out. If they stay there, their wolves will tear themselves apart trying to shift. Then we find another way. There is no time. One child began convulsing. Margaret rushed toward him. Claire closed her eyes. 17 frightened voices filled her mind. Find us. Rowan took one step closer. What will it cost? Claire looked at Margaret. The healer hesitated. A Moonwarden can create a bridge between two minds. And 17? Margaret's silence answered. Claire spoke instead. The bond could break me. Rowan's jaw tightened. Then I am going with you. You cannot. Claire, the Dreadwolf's presence makes the silver react. If you enter with me, you could trigger all 17 at once. Rowan looked at the children, then back at her. Their mate Mark burned between them. Claire touched her wrist. There is one more thing. His expression changed. What? To enter without pulling you into the bridge. I have to close our mate connection. For how long? I do not know. And if it does not reopen? Claire swallowed. Then what we chose in that valley ends here. For the first time, Rowan looked afraid in a way that had nothing to do with his beast. You are asking me to let you risk your life and our bond. No, Claire stepped closer. I am telling you what I have chosen. Pain moved across his face. Months ago, he would have ordered the doors locked. He would have called protection another form of authority. Now he only asked, what do you need from me? Claire's eyes burned. Keep everyone outside. And if you do not come back. She placed her hand over his heart. Do not turn love into a chain just because losing it hurts. Rowan covered her hand with his, then released it first. Claire pressed 2 fingers against her silver crescent. The mate bond flickered. Rowan inhaled sharply. Claire felt his warmth disappear from her mind. The silence was immediate. Terrible. She sat among the 17 children. Their hands reached toward her. Silver light filled the sanctuary. Rowan stood beyond the doorway, every instinct in him screaming to cross it. Claire closed her eyes. 17 frightened wolves opened theirs inside her mind. And behind them stood something far older than the children. A silver figure wearing Evelyn Cross's face smiled in the darkness. You finally opened the door, it whispered. You are not Evelyn Cross, Claire said. You are the fear she taught everyone to obey. The silver figure smiled. Around Claire, 17 children stood inside the shared consciousness, each surrounded by fragments of Black Moon Valley. Burning trenches, silver chains, soldiers screaming. Memories none of them had lived. Yet their blood remembered. The thing wearing Evelyn's face walked between them. She built me, it whispered. Every frightened wolf, every suppressed instinct, every generation taught that power must be chained before it becomes dangerous. Claire understood. This was not Evelyn's spirit. It was the final structure of her ritual, a command embedded in the survivors, passed through blood, waiting for another Moonwarden to connect enough minds to complete the network. Claire had opened the door. The silver figure lifted one hand. The children screamed. Chains appeared around their wolves. Obey, it commanded. Claire felt the old Moonwarden instinct surge through her. Bind them. Take control. Save them by becoming stronger than the thing hurting them. Her mother's pendant appeared against her chest inside the shared world. For one terrible second, Claire understood why Moonwardens had once become feared. Control would be easy. 17 young wolves were already reaching for her. All she had to do was command. No, the silver figure tilted its head. Claire turned toward the children. I cannot fight this for you. A little girl stared at her through tears. But you are the Moonwarden. Yes. Then make it stop. Claire knelt. That is what everyone keeps getting wrong. She took the girl's hand. I can help you hear your wolf. I cannot own it. The silver chains tightened. Outside the sanctuary, Rowan heard Claire cry out. Every instinct inside him exploded. The dread wolf slammed against his control. Go to her. Rowan stepped toward the doorway. Daniel blocked no path. Margaret gave no command. They all knew the choice belonged to him. Rowan's hand touched the stone frame. Through the broken mate bond, there was nothing. No Claire. No warmth. Only silence. He closed his eyes. Months earlier, he would have entered. He would have called it protection, love, necessity. Instead, he stepped backward. She asked me to stay out. Daniel looked at him. What if she dies? Rowan's face tightened. Then I will spend the rest of my life wishing I had broken that promise. The dread wolf growled within him. Rowan whispered, we trust her. Inside the shared consciousness, Claire stood. Listen to your wolves. The children looked around in panic. I cannot. It hurts. I am scared. So are they, Claire said. Fear does not mean you are broken. One by one, the children closed their eyes. The first wolf appeared beside a boy. Small. Terrified. Then another. Then another. 17 wolves emerged from behind the silver chains. The figure wearing Evelyn's face screamed. They require control. Claire raised her voice. No. They require choice. The children reached toward their wolves. Not commanding. Listening. The first silver chain shattered. Then 5. Then 12. The shared world began to collapse. The figure rushed toward Claire. If you break the network, you break the bridge. Claire knew what it meant. Her Moonwarden gift. The connection. Possibly the mate bond she had closed. Everything that made her extraordinary. She thought of Rowan waiting outside. Not entering. Not controlling. Trusting her even when trust might cost him everything. Claire smiled through tears. Then let it break. She pressed her pendant into the ground. Silver light erupted. The Black Moon battlefield shattered. The ritual screamed through 17 generations and died. Claire felt every Moonwarden connection inside her snap. Then darkness swallowed her. Outside, every child opened their eyes at once. The silver markings vanished. Margaret gasped. They are shifting. Soft light filled the sanctuary. 17 wolves emerged safely beside 17 exhausted children. Rowan looked toward Claire. She remained motionless in the center of them. Claire, nothing. He entered only after Margaret nodded. Rowan dropped beside her. Her pulse was weak. But there. Her eyes slowly opened. Children. Alive. She smiled faintly. Then Rowan's expression changed. He touched his chest. The mate mark was gone. Claire looked at her wrist. Empty skin. No crescent. No bond. No Moonwarden light. Rowan's voice broke. You lost everything. Claire slowly shook her head. Around them, 17 children held their wolves without chains. No, she whispered. I chose what was worth keeping. Do you regret it? Rowan asked. Claire looked toward the 17 young wolves running through the northern sanctuary courtyard. No, 1 year had passed since the silver network died. The scars of Black Moon no longer glowed beneath children's skin. The inherited fragments were gone. So was Claire's Moonwarden gift. She could no longer hear ancient wolves. She could no longer enter shared consciousness. And the mate mark she had once shared with Rowan had never returned. Yet Rowan still came to the sanctuary every month. Not as a king inspecting territory. As a man who knocked before entering her office. Claire had noticed that difference. So had everyone else. The Moonwarden sanctuary had changed with her. It no longer existed to produce people capable of controlling powerful wolves. It taught healers, scholars, parents, and young wolves how to recognize suppression, coercion, inherited trauma, and dangerous silver treatments before fear became law. The old war records were publicly displayed in the Central Archive. At Claire's request, one line had been carved above the doors. Power without choice becomes a chain. Rowan stood beside her beneath the winter sun. He was still enormous, broad-shouldered, and impossible to mistake for anyone but the Alpha King. But he no longer wore a crown when he visited. Claire glanced at him. You asked whether I regret losing the bond. I did. Do you? Rowan looked toward the forest. The dread wolf stirred peacefully beneath his skin. No, Claire raised an eyebrow. That was fast. He smiled. I miss what we had. So do I. But if keeping it required you to become the lock on someone else's prison, then it was never worth that price. Claire studied him. A year ago, those words would have surprised her. Now they did not. That was perhaps the greatest change of all. Rowan had learned how to shift without Silver, how to return without Claire, how to live with the dread wolf instead of defeating it. And when political councils demanded that Claire's sanctuary be placed under royal supervision after she lost her powers, Rowan had voted against his own advisors. She did not earn authority because she was magical, he had told them. She earned it because she built something worth protecting. Claire had kept that sentence. Not because a king said it, because he had finally understood. A group of children ran past them. One girl stopped. Claire, yes. Can King Rowan shift for us? Rowan immediately shook his head. No performances. The girl crossed her arms. You promised last month. Claire laughed. You did. Rowan looked betrayed. You were supposed to support me. I support accountability. The dread wolf growled dramatically beneath his breath. The children cheered. Moments later, a massive black wolf stood in the courtyard while laughing children surrounded him. Claire watched from the steps. No fear. No chains. No one kneeling. When Rowan shifted back, snow clung to his dark hair. He approached her. Happy. Very. He stopped close enough that she could feel his warmth. But he did not touch her. He never assumed anymore. Claire. She knew that tone. What? There is something I have wanted to ask. Her heart moved differently. Not through a magical bond. Just inside her chest. Rowan held out no mark. No royal seal. No destiny written by wolves. Only his hand. If there is no mate bond left to tell us what we are, he said, would you still choose me? Claire looked down at his open palm. The first time Rowan had taken her hand, thousands of soldiers had watched while he burned a mark into her skin and called her useful. Now there was nothing between them except a question. She placed her hand in his. Yes. His breath caught. Claire smiled. But there is one condition. Rowan almost laughed. There always is. No crowns in my sanctuary. Agreed. No political ownership. Agreed. No deciding what is best for me without asking. His expression softened. Agreed. Claire pulled him closer. And if you ever call me a pawn again, I value my life too much. She laughed and kissed him. Nothing exploded. No ancient beast awakened. No silver light filled the sky. The world did not shake. And Claire realized she loved that most. Their first kiss had awakened the beast Rowan feared. Their last great choice had destroyed the bond that once connected them. This kiss needed no prophecy to make it real. Beyond them, the sanctuary gates stood open. Children and wolves crossed freely beneath the stone inscription. Rowan rested his forehead against Claire's. For the first time, neither of them carried a mark. Neither belonged to the other. And still, they stayed. They chose. That was stronger than any bond.